Hello, welcome. I'm Pauline from Pauline's Quilters World, and I'm so thrilled that you can be viewing with us. I want to introduce you to our footstool, footrest, buffet, whatever you would like to call it. This is just something gorgeous that we've made up. It is a pattern that we're selling on our website, but it's constructed using a jelly roll pack. Now, there's so many gorgeous colours that you can buy in this, and we do have these on our website now, so you can get a gorgeous selection of different colours. You may want to do it in a Christmas theme like we've got here. You might want to do it in the brights. You might want to do it in just plain blues. Whatever suits your decor. There's so many gorgeous jelly rolls out there, but just whatever suits. So now the whole thing, the base, which is here, or the other end, they're both made out of a jelly roll, just like you'd make the jelly roll rugs. And then the side is just strip pieced onto the batting. So I'm just going to take you through a few of the little things that we need to do to make this up. And then of course you'll make an insert bag to put inside, and you'll fill that with the beans like you'd put in a bean bag. Or you may find that you want to fill it with something else like old scraps of fabric, wadding, whatever you'd like to fill it with, but we have the nice soft beans inside. We also have made sure, we'll just find the right spot, we've put a zipper inside. So in the pattern it shows you how to put the zipper in so that you can get the insert out and wash the outside, because you can put it in the washing machine and wash it, but just take the insert bag out first. So to start with, a whole jelly roll has made this, and we have quite a lot left over. So you could make it larger if you wanted to. You don't have to make it this size. You might want to go much larger. So if you're going to go larger, you'll be doing a larger circle for the base and the top. Inside the jelly roll strips, we've put the Hobbs double-sided fusible batting. This is iron-on, so it sticks to your fabric so we don't get stretching and we don't get all that movement that we get out of a lot of other battings. You would join all your jelly roll strips together. So you'll just pop them down, and you can mix your colours up. You know, I usually just open up a jelly roll and join them as they are in the pack. But you would join them on a 45-degree angle. So you'll stitch across here on the 45-degree angle, you'll trim this back to a 1/4-inch seam, press the seam, and then you join the next one on. So you're just going to make it up to be one whole big long strip. And then once you get that done, we'll get a long strip out so we can show you what we're going to do. We then use the Hobbs, as I said, the fusible batting. This is cut 2 1/4 inches wide. Now, you don't have to use that batting, but that is my batting of choice, because after experimenting with all different ones, I found this gives me the best result. So it's cut 2 1/4 inches wide. Lay it down so you've got a little bit of gap on both sides. We're just going to lay this batting out on our ironing surface. Lay your strip on top of, and with a hot dry iron, just slowly press. Now, the batting's not going to stick to your ironing surface, so it doesn't make a mess. So we go all the way along. It'll take you just a little few minutes to iron all this up. Just go all the way along. Then put the end onto your ironing surface. You will fold the end in so that it's a neat finish. And we give you all these hints and tips in the pattern that you can obtain for this. You can buy a kit that'll have everything in it to make the footrest. It won't have the beans or the zipper, but it'll have all your other things in there. So we fold this end in. Now we're going to use the Jelly Roll Sasher tool. Now this is, if you have our regular sashes, which are the yellow ones, this one is different, as in this split here is much wider because it's got to accommodate the batting. So this is what it looks like when it's packaged, just like so. Take it out of the package, hold it by the handle, fold the ends in that you've pressed, put it into the tool, up and back down. We just simply pull it through. And just pin that into the ironing surface just for a little while, because we just want to press a little bit of this to get started. So just fold it in, and we're going to put the iron into this curve of the tool, and we'll just press. And we only need to press about 8 inches. We don't need to press too much. That's just to get it started at the sewing machine, because the next step we're going to do is go straight to the sewing machine. Pop your 1/4 inch foot on your machine. Now, if you have a 1/4 inch foot that has the little guide that goes down the side, I would suggest you use that foot. But if you don't, just use your regular 1/4 inch foot. Fold this over, and I usually just have a neutral thread on the bobbin and the top. Put this under the foot of the machine, and I'm going to use this pin as if it was the needle going down into the fabric to anchor it. So now we're at the machine. We're going to fold this over, and then we pull this down about another 5 or 6 inches. And you can see how the tool, when we're at a machine pulling this, it folds the fabric for us, so we don't have to pin it, we don't have to clip it, we don't have to iron it, we don't have to do any of those things that take a long time when we do the jelly roll rugs. So we're going to fold this over, and we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch in from this edge where we've folded over. This is a folded edge, this is the 2 edges that come together. We'll stitch down here a 1/4 inch all the way through, and you'll keep pulling that tool. When you get up to hit close to the tool, you will stop, put your needle down, and you'll pull it about another 8 or 10 inches to fold ahead of yourself, and you'll just keep going till you get the whole lot done. Now, depending on how big you want this to be is to how big you're going to make this circle. So just think about it. In the pattern, we give you a measurement that we've used, so the measurement will be across the width of the circle. So if you want to make it exactly the same size as us, just follow the instructions that we have there. But if you want to make it larger, just keep going and make it bigger. Now, once you've got all this folded and stitched, and I call it the jelly roll string, roll it into a ball. If you don't roll it into a ball, you're going to have it absolutely everywhere. So we've got all this rolled up. Now, the tricky part about getting this part of the footstool done is getting around this tight curve, okay? Because it is quite tight in here, and you want it tight, and then you're just going to evolve out. As you come out, it's going to get much easier to sew. But to try and get your fingers in underneath the foot of the machine and try and get all of this sitting neat is really, really hard. So my little tip there is what we do is we just curl this up, but use the Roxanne glue baste it. This is fabulous stuff. So you'll put this out, just put little dots of glue. Oops, left the lid off mine before and it's just got a little bit stuck. Just put little dots of glue along here for a little way. And then you're just going to roll this tightly. And I use the iron and I press this. Now, don't worry about the glue getting on the iron because it doesn't stick. And if it does stick to the base of the iron, it's water soluble, so it will come off. Whoops. Popping undone. Let's just come back this way. So we just roll it up nice and tight with that glue. Just spend a few minutes at your ironing board doing this, and it'll make it so much easier for you to stitch. Just press it really, really well. So just keep rolling now around, and I roll about 3 rounds and pressing so that I get all of that nice tight area glued, so then I can just go and stitch this. Now, to stitch it, we're using a zigzag stitch. on our machine. So set up a nice, medium to wide zigzag. You don't want it too far apart. Get it nice and close together. And I'll just see if we can pick that up, that we get that stitching nice and close together. Use a titanium top stitch needle because we want a very sharp needle. We want a strong needle because we've got to go through all those layers of batting. And you notice that popped undone there a bit. So glue it and then maybe pop some pins in. Just while you keep working on this to get it all the way around, just put some pins in there to hold it, to let that glue dry really firmly so that it doesn't pop undone. And then after you've got those couple of rounds done, go back and pop those pins out. But as I was saying, titanium top stitch needles, size 12 is what I use because I find they penetrate through all the layers nicely for me. Use a good quality thread. You don't want to use a fine thread because you don't want the thread splitting as it goes through the thickness of the batting. A great foot to use for when you're stitching this together is I like to use the edge stitching foot or the stitch in the ditch foot. Depending on what machine brand you use as to what they call that foot. But it's a foot that has a little guide that goes down through the centre, and the guide sits right in that little groove, in that gap. That way with that, I call it a blade. If that blade sits right in the middle of that gap there, you're going to get a very even zigzag across each side. So you're just going to zigzag all the way through, and you're just going to keep circling around, and once we get out of that centre section it becomes quite easy to stitch that. And just keep going around and around till you make it as wide as what you want. Then repeat the process for the bottom. Then once you've got that done, the hard part's done. And it's not that difficult, it doesn't take long at all to do this. To do the sides, we're still using the same jelly roll. Now, whatever size you've done for your top and bottom will depend how long this section has to be. So you may have to measure around the circumference of this to work out what size this length has to be. You might want your footrest shorter, you mightn't want it as deep as this, you might want it more shallow, you might want it higher. You'll know how big you need to make it. So what we've done is we've cut a piece of batting and a backing fabric. So our backing fabric is just a plain calico. We've ironed the batting to it. We've used the Hobbs heirloom batting, which we buy by the metre or the yard. We've ironed the two layers together so they're nice and stable. Then we put one jelly roll strip down. We put another one on top, and we stitch down here with a 1/4 inch seam. So we just stitch all the way through, going through to the backing. And it won't matter what colour thread you've got on the bobbin because you'll never see inside this. So use up all your old threads. Stitch down and then we press. Now if you don't want to keep getting up and down to the ironing board because we're going to need to keep pressing these seams out nice and flat, use this great tool, the roll and press. Love this tool. All this does is you run it along and it flattens the seam out for you. It's a very, very handy tool to have at your sewing machine. So you could just use your tabletop, run that along and you've got that seam sitting very flat. Otherwise you're up and down to the ironing board all the time. Now we simply just place another piece on top of here, pin it, and then we'll stitch all the way through. Then we'll flip that over. So we just keep working out both sides till we fill up the whole area. Very, very simple. In the pattern we show you how to put the zipper in, and the zipper has a flap over it so you don't see the zip, but we explain all of that in the pattern. Now to attach these two together, it's just a straight stitch all the way around. So it's very, very simple. But I would suggest when you get this outer piece made, before you actually join it together with the zipper, cut your inner bag out at the same time because you want that inner bag to be the same size as this and the same circumference as here. But once again, in the pattern, it gives you all those instructions. But if you've adjusted your pattern to be different to our size, you'll need to make all of those adjustments as you go along. But it's just a fun thing to do. Fill it as hard as you want or as soft as you want. You know, it's great to have for the grandchildren to sit on, or, you know, if you've got small children in your family. You know, you can create all different things using the Jelly Rolls and the Jelly Roll Sasher tool. So we want you to have fun. You know, imagine if you made this up in your husband's football colours, for instance. What a great gift would that make for somebody for Christmas? Or anybody would love to receive one of these for Christmas. Maybe you just want to make the outer part up, put the bag inside, and then they buy their own beads to put inside it and fill it to the way they want. But it just makes a really, really lovely gift. And out of one jelly roll, to be able to get all of that, it's a very inexpensive gift for you to make. So we want you to have fun creating. And we just thought, you know, there's the jelly roll rugs out there. As you can see here, we've made the Jelly Roll Christmas tree. There's so many things you can do with the Jelly Rolls and that fabulous Jelly Roll Sasher tool. We love this tool, and it's just made making the Jelly Roll rugs so easy. Make some Christmas placemats with this. You know, you can do a whole theme Christmas things just using the one tool and the right amount of fabrics. And we do have all of these gorgeous Christmas Jelly Roll sets in now that you can view on our website and get yourself ready for Christmas. So thank you for joining us. We hope you've learnt a few things from our little tips and technique classes, but just remember it is available as a pattern. Have a look at all the other add-on tools that come, you know, that you can buy with it to get the complete set. So you can purchase all of these products on our website, www.pqw.com.au. We'd love you to subscribe to our newsletter because we've got some exciting things coming for you. Also, our YouTube channel. There is so many of our videos up there now on YouTube. So go and look at all of those. Hit the bell so that you can then subscribe to all of our videos. When we put something up there, you'll get notifications. So we'd love you to share our videos out there, let your friends know about it, and let's share the joy of creating with Pauline's Quilters World. So thank you. Stay safe.